G'day guys, and welcome back to the Fon Supercoach YouTube channel. Today we'll be discussing general Supercoach strategy and my thoughts on how you should play out the starting team, to your trades, to your end of season looping, etc. First of all, I want to say a big thanks to everyone who watched, liked, commented, or subscribed to the channel based on the last video. I really appreciate all the support. A special thank you to Supercoach God for shouting me out. Really appreciate all the support that the channel has received over the last week. I will continue to keep putting out content that's informative and hopefully that you guys enjoy. But yeah, thanks again, and let's get into the video. I guess I'll start with some, team update. Not much has changed. You will see the big fella Max Gawn in there instead of Sean Darcy, who looks like he's going to miss round one. So that's that. I've also removed Matt Flynn and Adam Chera. Chera I just didn't have the money for. And Flynn I've taken out because it doesn't look like he's going to be the starting ruck for West Coast somehow. So in their places, I have Peatling and Sanders. I've also added Jack Hutchinson, who I think's got a good role at West Coast, a bit of inside-outside sort of stuff. Sanders could become anyone. I'm not massive on this pick yet, but I do like the pick. I'm just not sold yet. And Peatling is training the house down. He's probably after Mills and McRae, Smith, Daniel, he's probably the next best mid-pricer, so that's why I've got him for now. Again, could become anyone. I do still have Sinclair, who was assessed with some hamstring awareness, whatever that means. We'll see how that goes. If there's another blip in the preseason, I will get rid of him for someone else, not sure who. I've toyed with no De Koning in the side because it looks like the Blues might play Pitnet and De Koning at the same time. I'm not sure why they would do that. If they do, I don't know what I will do, but there will be no De Koning in my side if Mark Pitnet is playing. That's the team update. Just a quick one because not much has changed. We haven't had a heap of info. And let's get into some Supercoach strategy. So the first thing I want to discuss is the flex position. Now, I don't know obviously we've never had the flex position before, so I don't know the absolute best way to use it throughout the season. I am extremely confident in saying, ideally, the third best scoring ruck is in this position come the end of the season or when you're finished upgrading. I think the best way to use this throughout the season, I think the absolute best way for your starting team and until you're fully upgraded is to have a cash cow ruck in this position. Rucks make a lot of cash and they score a lot of points, so that makes sense. I'm not sure we'll get that this year with Flynn. We'll see how the rest of the preseason plays out. The next best thing, I think, is just having a rookie in there or a mid-pricer and just using your rookies with... Ideally, you're going to want a lot of DPP rookies on your bench so you can use the flexibility and limit your rookie roulette, get the best scores on field, that sort of stuff. It's not rocket science, this, I don't think. But we'll see. There might be some insane strategy that comes out during the season that we learn this year going into next year. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Let me know what you think about the flex position in the comments below. And yeah, let's talk starting team decisions. So, the first thing I want to talk about is rookies. You've all heard it before, but rookies dictate structure. So the absolutely essential thing is to get all of the good rookies. Now, that's going to be very hard to do. There are going to be some that we don't have a good read on going into rounds 1 and 2. But when they're on the bubble, they're going to make 80k the next week and you kind of have to correct them. I'll talk about that in trades later. But you want to get as many of these really good rookies with a good role, good job security, and good scoring power. I'm going to do a rookie guide after the practice games that I will post on Twitter. I'll probably make a YouTube video about it as well. Or I should post on X. Anyway, this will factor in job security, scoring power, role, and sub-risk. Sub-risk is going to be very important this year because a lot of the good rookies are on teams where they might be subbed. Think of Levi Ashcroft. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. But yeah, make sure you've got all the good rookies. It's vital. And if we have lots of good rookies, you can start removing these riskier mid prices and the value primos and go up to more expensive primos, that sort of stuff. I'm not convinced we're going to get a heap of good rookies this year, which is why my team's loaded with value. But we'll see how we go. The next thing I want to talk about is mid prices. Obviously, there are a few this year. There's a lot of popular ones in the forward line and Callum Mills, obviously. Mid prices are good because they score more than rookies. So generally having two mid prices versus a rookie and a primo, you're going to get more points out of your mid prices. They don't generally make as much cash, not always the case, but they don't generally do so. But because they are providing you with better scores on field, they don't have to make as much cash. For example, you're going to want a rookie to make about 140 to 150k. Mid price are making 120k. That's a good result because they've kept a rookie off your field. And yeah, still made money, still value in the pick. There's a few things to consider with mid prices as well. First thing is they're generally less likely to get subbed. There are some that are injury prone that this does not apply for. But yeah, obviously you want to, when you're picking these players, you want to make sure that they are within your risk appetite. So not picking someone who you think is too injury prone for something like that. I don't have a great risk appetite for injury players, so I tend to avoid them at all cost. Obviously, I have Jack Sinclair in there who has had a hamstring issue in the last couple of days. I don't want to talk about it, okay? But yeah, the other thing with mid prices is that they are very easy to correct out of. So, for example, you've got a mid pricer. There are no other ones going well. You can go down to a rookie. If you've got two, you can go one up, one down. If you've got a mid-pricer and there is another mid-pricer who's not in your team going well, it's a very easy sideways trade to get in the good mid-pricer. So having the flexibility of being able to easily sideways them or go one up, one down and change your structure a little bit, I think reduces the risk of mid-prices. Obviously, in the old days of Supercoach when there were less trades and you needed all of them to upgrade your team, or most of them, you couldn't do this. But now that we have more trades, I think we are more inclined to target value. Even if they don't make as much cash as a rookie, they are scoring you more points on field, and that is how you win Supercoach at the end of the day, by scoring the most points. So don't sacrifice all of your on-field scoring for lots of good cash, because you're probably going to be a couple hundred points behind maybe come the end of the season, just based on the first team picking a lot of value guys, potentially. Doesn't always work that way, but that's the philosophy anyway with the mid prices and the value primos, which I'll talk about next. So these are guys like Petrarca and Dawson, Sicily and Stewart, not Sinclair. These guys offer value that can also offer top 6 scoring. It's very important to target these because the way Supercoach pricing works is the magic number, which is used to calculate prices, starts off high and decreases throughout the season. So this means that if you pick a guy priced at 125 and they score 125, that's what they average, their price is going to decrease it's going to normalize at some point. So if you can pick guys that are going to score more than they're priced at, they're going to lose less money. And these guys that come down, you're going to be able to upgrade to them for cheaper. So for example, I'm paying 530k for James Sicily. Now, let's say he doesn't make money and he just scores about 5 points above what he's priced at. He's not going to get cheaper, in theory. He could obviously drop a stinker, get tagged, whatever, but just to keep it simple, he's not going to get cheaper. So I'm not wasting anything by starting him. Whereas a Marcus Bontempelli, who's priced at 126, he has to score 130, a little bit more, I think, to not lose any value at all. So you lose money by starting the guys that are top price. So Max Gawn is in my team. I don't expect him to be value. I've picked him because of the ruck situation. He's going to lose money at some point. This is not anywhere near the cheapest you're going to get him this year. So I've traded the value for points and for some stability in my ruck line. That doesn't apply for midfielders, obviously. So getting value is good. You've got to make sure you have captain's options, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, make sure your side is loaded with value so it costs less money to fully upgrade the team. That's the point I'm trying to make here. The next thing I want to discuss is having a loop. I've seen some loops this year, which I'm really against the loops when we have these early buy rounds, because odds are you're going to have someone not playing in rounds 2, 3, and 4 because of the buys. And by round 5 or 6, you're probably going to have a dead rookie on your bench that you can use to loop. So at that point, you don't need a loop anymore. So realistically, if you're picking a loop, you're probably only getting the benefit for one round, the first round. So I think it's better to instead pick a captain option with a good first round matchup that you can straight see. For example, Butters plays Collingwood. I like this matchup. Brayshaw plays Geelong. I like this matchup. Taconi has Richmond. I love this matchup. So those are the things I consider when picking my starting team, and why I don't like having a loop. Obviously, if we don't get a playing R3, which I think we will, then having a loop is not valuable. Sorry, having a loop is valuable. You have to have it. It doesn't matter whether or not it's valuable. But yeah. So yeah, that's the loops. I do want to add to that. I think starting Primos with the bye in the GWS and Gold Coast bye, where we might not get rookies. I'm pretty big on Leak for now, but I'm not sure if he eventuates. I think there's merit to that, just because you can loop them that week and you lose less points. You got to pick a value guy still, but a Tom Green, for example, could make his way into my side based on that. Let's talk captain's options. This is the last thing I have for starting teams. So I've picked out 8 guys here that I think are the best captain's options. I'm not going through them in order. But the first one is the Bont, Marcus Bontempelli. He scores points for fun against everyone. You're looking at the first 6 games I'm going to look at for these captain's options. I look a little bit past them, but by the 6th game, generally, you're going to start upgrading. The first couple of games are good matchups, North and Collingwood. North's just easy to score points against. I'm sure they'll improve a little bit, but unless their defence changes drastically, they're going to be easy to score against still. Collingwood inside mid scored really well against them, so that's no matter how good Collingwood has been, that's been the case over the last few years. Carlton is probably a tougher one. Stronger midfield, lots of those big inside types, Cripps, Chera. So yeah, that's probably a tougher matchup. Freo don't have the massive bodies in there like Carlton has with Cripps, but they are strong midfielders, so I'm not necessarily sure. They also have 2 capable rucks. I'm not necessarily sure this is a good matchup. However, Bont likes this matchup and he likes Optus, so he's an option here. Brisbane, I would tend to say for these inside types, avoid, but it's at Norwood Oval, a great tiny ground. It's an under 12 size ground, really good for these inside types to score bulk points because there's heaps of contested possessions, heaps of contested knock-ons, which Bont likes, scores lots of points from them, and lots of loose balls. So Norwood Oval's a great ground for these inside types. And then he gets the Saints at Marvel. GWS probably won't tag him, and then you've got upgraded players by this point. So Bont's a really good one. Is expensive, but you pay for it. You get a guaranteed good captain's option. He's probably only going to... There might be 1 or 2 games under 120 in this stretch. So yeah, that's Bont. He could also start hot and just go 140 on all of them. That's Bont. So really like the Bont as a captain option. The next one I have is the big fella, Max Gawn. I think he is the best ruck captain option. Well, I think he's the only one, really, at the start. I think Sherry's early fixture isn't great. I've lost him. So yeah, that's why I like Gawn. Gawn's fixture doesn't start off too hot. I don't know how restrictive Briggs was, not last year, but the year before. I know he wasn't restrictive last year, but he was injured for most of the year, so I'm willing to give him a mulligan for that. North are easy to score Supercoach points against, as I said. 114 last year, not your greatest captain, but you take that in the early rounds. I say this because Cherry's there, obviously. Witts typically hasn't been easy to score against, but Gold Coast away from home, who knows? Witts is also getting old. I know Max is as well, but Max hasn't been hit by age yet. So as a Melbourne supporter, I'm hoping he never does. And then we get Geelong, which is the best matchup for rucks, undisputably this season, I believe. This could be a straight C. I think if you wanted to go that way, Essendon at Adelaide Oval, if this is a 1-ruck Essendon, this is going to be a great matchup. If it's not, it's a tougher matchup. Fremantle, I know Jackson isn't hard to score against in the ruck. I'm not sure about Darcy. this could be an okay matchup. And then we get Richmond and West Coast, which are, I think if you don't have Gawn at this point, you're going to need really good captain's options to keep up, and good ruck options, because this could be 150, 150. It could be more than that. If I've got the C on Gawn in this round, I could have 600 points from him in just these 2 weeks, potentially more. The scoring power here is very scary, especially, with this game here. He might not be cheap to get before this game. So that's something, if you're not starting Gawn, I would reconsider. I don't think you have to start him, but definitely got to keep this in mind with your starting team, I think. So yeah, that's Max Gawn. Next one I have is Zach Butters. He's got some really good fixtures early. I think the first 5 are good from memory. Collingwood, Richmond, Essendon, St Kilda, and Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. All, I think, will be good fixtures for Butters. Nash won't go to Butters. I'm very confident in that, which is why I like the Hawthorn matchup at home for him. And then these 4 have been easy to score against for Zach Butters type players. Potentially a Jordan tag against Sydney, although I'm not sure if that'll go that way. Essendon may use Durham against him. I'm not sure. We will see. Around 3, tags generally sort of start about round 5, I reckon, and they persist until about round 17, and then teams drop them, maybe a bit later. Depends on the player, obviously. But yeah, we'll see. Butters, really good captain option. The next 2 I have grouped together, Brayshaw and Sarong, because I think they're going to score very similar across the season, and they both play for the same team, so they have the same fixture. So, Brayshaw. So, round 2 against Sydney, James Jordan will probably tag. I know I said tags don't start this early, but I think they found a great role for Jordan doing that. I think it helps their midfield as well and helps their defence, so I think they'll persist with that. Who knows with Cox, might not go for it at all. This is probably a no for Sarong, definitely. I think that's where the tag will go. Brayshaw, probably not, even though it's at Optus. But Geelong, West Coast, Richmond, and Melbourne are great. And look, Adelaide, St Kilda, Collingwood. Until round 9, there's 2 games you probably want to avoid the captain on for these Freo guys. So yeah, the Freo fixture is really good early. Like, I've only got 1 at the moment. Could I go Sarong and Brayshaw? I'm not sure. Maybe that makes Clark more appealing as well. Things to consider. Anyway, these are really good matchups for Freo midfielders. There's 7 of the first 9 here that are absolutely good matchups. Even the Bulldogs at home could be okay, given there's no true law. So I think you've got to have one of Brayshaw or Sarong just as your captain's option. They pair really well with Butters in the midfield. This is why I like a Zach Butters plus Freo mid option here. I love this as an anchoring for creating your team. So yeah, Brayshaw and Sarong. I think they're probably the best captain's option if I had to pick one. The next one I have is Noah Anderson, bit of a pod. But he has the first 5 weeks 6 weeks, I guess, 5 matches of Supercoach scoring. This is based on last season, the easiest possible fixture to score against. I think Melbourne will get a bit better. I think North will get a bit better. But this is still going to be a good fixture for Supercoach scoring. The caveat with Anderson is there is like a 40-point swing, maybe 35-point swing scoring home versus away. Only one of these games is at home. That being said, Richmond and West Coast, at the very least, away, are probably going to be very winnable matchups for the Suns. This one, definitely. Same with North at Barossa. So I think you can look to captain him in all of these games. Even Melbourne at the G, I think you can look to captain him in. Sydney, not so much, obviously. Does have the bye. I will say about his splits between home and away, he's now the captain, and I think Gold Coast have got to put the big boy pants on at some point. They have got to start playing well away from home. I think this is their year they could make finals. So yeah, and that's going to mean Anderson scoring well, that is. So yeah, I think if you're looking for a pod, you don't like Tom Green, but you need a guy with around 2 bye to do some looping. Maybe Noah Anderson's your guy. I don't mind it at all. So yeah, there's Noah Anderson. The next one I haven't seen in a single Supercoach team so far. Zach Merritt. Merritt's normally a guy that we don't start because we think we can upgrade into relatively early because he cops a tag or whatever. I'm I'm not sure that didn't eventuate last year. I'm not sure it'll eventuate this year. Hawthorn, Adelaide, Melbourne, West Coast, Collingwood, and North in the first 8 weeks, all really good matchups. Merit scores well in transition, which is where Port is very restrictive, so probably can't look at this matchup as a straight C. But I think as a captain's option. But I think the other matchups here are going to be good. Hawthorn's midfield was very tough to score against last year, I believe, so I'm not 100% certain on Hawthorn being a good matchup, but we'll see. So yeah, maybe not round 1, but 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, definitely good matchups for Zach Merritt. If you want a different starting option, you want an Essendon player, Zach's your man. The last one I have is another very rare starting option I've seen, is Jack Steele. This is more for his first 3 games, which I think are awesome fixtures, as is this game, round 5 at Norwood Oval. I wouldn't say normally the Giants are a good fixture, but I like Norwood Oval. These first 3 fixtures are very, very, very good. So I think if you want Jack Steele, the Saints have a good bye. So he's a good starting option, I think, if you believe he can score at least what he's priced at or a little bit more. He's going to give you points from from the captain's options. He's going to give you additional points on his starting price because he has easy matchups. I think Steele is the way you can go. No early buy. Interesting pick. I'm not sure what his selection rate is at the moment, but I think he's been overlooked a little bit too much. So yeah, there's the captain's options. There's 8 of them. I still think one of the Freo boys is the best. I love the pairing with Butters. But yeah, that's some options for your captains at the start of the season. Which brings us to trading. So I have trades broken down into 5 or 6 categories. The first is rounds 1 to 3, where we are looking to correct. These are correction trades. So we're trading out injured players, priority number 1. Priority 1.5 is trading into the good rookies. This is vital, especially the ones that are on the bubble. You need to get these guys in. Ideally, you don't get them in after a price rise because they're going to make most of their money in that first price rise. So get some good rookies in. Avoid rage trading mid prices if you can. If you have the option between rage trading a mid pricer who's probably not going to lose a heap of money versus getting a rookie in who's going to make 150k, get the rookie. Okay. Once you've got all the good rookies, then you can start tinkering with your mid prices. If they go what they're priced at mid prices, that's okay. They're not losing money. But ideally, if that is what they're doing, you trade them to a mid pricer that's firing, downgrade to a rookie. If you've got 2 that aren't going well, 1 up, 1 down. That's what you need to be doing in the first 3 rounds. Correcting trades, correction trades to trade out injuries, then rookies, then mid prices. Okay? Vital. The next couple of rounds, round 4 and 5, I think ideally you don't make any trades. I think in round 4, you can potentially look to sideways out a Primo playing in this round. Think of Zach Merritt, but you lose a lot of Merritt's good fixture then. Sicily, those types of guys. I wouldn't really advise doing this. I know how I like to trade at the end of the season, which tends to get a little bit over aggressive, hoping to correct that this season. But yeah, you want the trades at the end of the year for your injuries and getting extra primos. So wouldn't advise that. But then heading into round 6 to 10, I think ideally you are using all of your boosts, all 5 of them in these rounds, if you didn't have to use one to correct, because you are upgrading your team faster. The first time you're probably going to go 2 down, 1 up, but then the next week you can go 2 up, 1 down. You could be 1 primo ahead at this point, or 2 primos ahead for a round or 2 at this point. That could be anywhere between 100 to 200 points. That is a good way to make up points if your starting team struggled, by holding your boost and using it to upgrade faster. Getting your team completed faster, getting your rookies off the field as fast as possible to maximize your scoring. I think that's been my main learning the last couple of years, is using your boosts aggressively early to upgrade. I think that's the best way to do it. The next round I have, it's on its own. It's round 11. I think you just upgrade as normal here. You're going to go into the buys the next round anyway. So yeah, all the players have a buy from here on out. Round 12, I think you double downgrade if possible. Take a couple of maximally cashed out rookies, ideally that aren't playing. I don't know if I have any rookies that are playing. I have at least one or two, Busslinger and Davidson. Iron Smith, actually. Ideally, I'd have two of those by then. I could double downgrade so that the next week I can upgrade into two guys coming off their bye. Again, we're trying to upgrade as fast as possible. Getting rookies off the field isn't that important at this point in the season once we hit the buys because they drop off anyway. But you still want to get as many primos on your field as fast as possible. I think the last 3 years I've had some pretty average starting teams. Last year was poor even. And this is a good way for me to catch up to the rest of the pack by trading into guys very aggressively off their bye and particularly getting two off the first bye. I think that's made a massive difference for me. So yeah, this went over the buys. You want to be trading into guys off their buys, and then once you're fully upgraded, you want to do some luxury upgrades, and then potentially some sideways to guys you don't, guys who still have the last buy, I guess, sideways to an earlier guy, for example. Then you want to be looking at getting a 23rd and 24th primo. That might happen during the buys. We'll see how it goes this year with the flex and the extra cash gen. And by this point, you can also start trading into rookies that aren't playing. Don't cut yourself back too thin. If you've got 7 primos in defense, like a loop guy here to loop scores, you need to take a loophole here, obviously. You're going to want at least one mid-bench rookie that is playing, I think. And ideally, you're going to have 3 rucks, so you don't necessarily end up playing R3. So you're going to have a loop here and a loop here and probably one loop here. You can start trading into the basement price players to maximize your cash usage at this point and have some loops. So yeah, that's it. That's Supercoach Strategy for the year. Just as a brief recap, make sure you've got all the good rookies at the start of the season and when you start trading. I'm going to do a rookie guide factoring in job security, scoring power, role, sub risk. Once the practice games are over, I'll share this on YouTube and X. So yeah, make sure you keep your eyes out for that. Getting the good rookies is pivotal. So yep, definitely. If you're not going to use mine, probably create a guide of your own. Points on field versus cash gen. Make sure you've got enough value on your field that you can complete your side, but also make sure you've got enough points on field so that you can compete with the rest of the pack. So don't cut back to too many rookies and that sort of thing. Then we discussed some captain's options and then using your trades during the season. So boosting very aggressively once we hit round 6 to 10, upgrading to guys coming off their bye in the bye rounds, and using your trades to correct early. And try to avoid rage trading your mid prices. They're not a priority, really. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. The next video I do will probably be a recap on, I'm guessing, only the first practice match. There's a little standalone one before we get into the rest of them. I might try and group it with some other ones. Depends how much time I have. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.